Welcome to Story Planet, where we bring you relaxing and heartwarming tales to help you unwind. Tonight's story is The Keeper of Christmas Light. So, settle in, get cozy, and let yourself be transported to a snow-kissed village, where a devoted caretaker and a glowing chapel remind us of the true spirit of Christmas. Now, let's begin. In the heart of a snow-kissed valley stood Starlight Chapel, a small stone church that seemed as timeless as the hills surrounding it. Its weathered gray walls bore the marks of countless seasons, each crack and crevice a testament to its enduring presence. Yet, despite its age, the church radiated a quiet beauty that drew people from all corners of the village. The chapel's garden, blanketed in soft white snow, held the promise of spring beneath its frozen surface. Pine trees adorned with delicate strings of light flanked the cobblestone path leading to the heavy oak doors, where Samuel Hayes, the church's caretaker, stood, surveying the scene. Samuel had served as the keeper of Starlight Chapel for over 3 decades. His love for the church and its people was woven into every task he undertook, no matter how small. To him, the chapel was more than a building. It was the heart of the community, a place where joy, sorrow, hope, and faith converged. And as Christmas Eve approached, Samuel worked tirelessly to ensure that it would be ready to welcome everyone. Where the village people work, they will definitely come home for Christmas and to attend the church, especially to spend time talking to Samuel to reload the positivity. They like sitting in the church garden and talking with Samuel, realizing his love for each and everyone in the village without expecting anything in return. He is a pure soul, the kind everyone needs in their lives. The villagers, in turn, share the same love, always helping and supporting one another. The morning dawned, crisp and clear, the sky painted in soft hues of pink and gold. Samuel rose early, as he always did, his breath visible in the frosty air as he lit a fire in the chapel's small wood stove. The warmth spread slowly, chasing away the chill that lingered in the stone walls. He started his day by tending to the garden, carefully shaking off the snow from the evergreen bushes and checking that the pathway lights were still twinkling brightly. Though the garden was modest, Samuel saw it as a reflection of the chapel's spirit, a quiet, welcoming beauty that inspired peace in all who passed through. Inside, Samuel polished the brass candlesticks until they gleamed like mirrors. He adjusted the red and gold ribbons that adorned the altar, ensuring every detail was perfect. The scent of pine boughs and beeswax candles filled the air, mingling with the faint aroma of the freshly cleaned wooden pews. The nativity scene, lovingly crafted by villagers years ago, stood proudly at the front of the chapel. Samuel paused before it, his gaze softening as he adjusted the tiny manger, making sure baby Jesus was nestled just right. Starlight Chapel exuded a sacred calm that seemed to envelop anyone who entered. The stained glass windows, depicting scenes from the Nativity, glowed softly as the sunlight streamed through. Each pane told a story. Mary, cradling the Christ child, shepherds gathered under a starry sky, and angels singing from above. Samuel often found himself pausing to admire their beauty, feeling a deep sense of connection to the generations of hands that had crafted them. The pews were polished to a warm sheen, their smooth surfaces inviting people to sit and reflect. The pulpit, carved from dark mahogany, stood tall and steady, as if it bore the weight of the prayer spoken from it. Above it all hung a simple wooden cross, a reminder of the faith that bound the community together. Samuel tended to the chapel with the care and dedication of a gardener nurturing a cherished flower. He took pride in every detail, from arranging the hymnals in neat rows to ensuring that the candles burned steadily throughout the service. For Samuel, his work was an act of love for the church, for the villagers, and for the sacredness of Christmas. Outside, the cobblestone path leading to the church doors was lined with lanterns, their golden glow guiding visitors through the snowy evening. Samuel checked each one, making sure the flames flickered just right. He also scattered a light dusting of salt on the pathway to keep it safe, mindful of the elderly members of the congregation. As he worked, Samuel often thought of the villagers who would soon fill the chapel. He knew each by name, their stories intertwined with his own. There was Mrs. Thompson, who always brought gingerbread men for the children. Young Clara, whose eyes lit up at the sight of the Christmas tree. And Mr. Miller, who played the organ with such passion that it moved people to tears. Samuel cherished these moments of connection, knowing that his efforts helped bring the community together. By mid-afternoon, the chapel was aglow with light and warmth. The grand Christmas tree near the altar, adorned with handmade ornaments and strands of popcorn, stood as a symbol of hope and unity. Samuel took a step back, surveying the scene with a satisfied smile. He could already imagine the voices of the choir filling the space, the sound of laughter and whispered prayers mingling in the air. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the snowy landscape, the first visitors arrived. Children ran ahead, their laughter echoing through the crisp evening air, while their parents followed, carrying trays of cookies and baskets of decorations. Samuel greeted each one warmly, his voice rich with genuine joy. "Merry Christmas, Samuel," a young girl called out, her cheeks rosy from the cold. "Merry Christmas to you, my dear," Samuel replied, bending down to ruffle her hair. "Are you ready to see the tree?" The girl nodded eagerly, darting inside with her family. Samuel watched them go, his heart full. For him, these moments were the true essence of Christmas, not the grandeur or the gifts, but the simple, heartfelt connections that brought people together. As the church filled, the air buzzed with anticipation. The choir's harmonies rose like a gentle wave, their voices weaving together in a tapestry of sound. Samuel stood at the back, his eyes scanning the congregation. Families huddled together, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of candlelight. The warmth of the chapel seemed to wrap around them like a comforting blanket, shielding them from the cold world outside. The service began with a reading of the Nativity story, the familiar words bringing a sense of peace and reflection. Samuel watched as the villagers listened, their expressions serene. When the time came for the choir's rendition of Silent Night, he closed his eyes, letting the melody wash over him. It was in these moments that Samuel felt closest to the divine, as if the very walls of the chapel hummed with sacred energy. Samuel noticed the little gestures of connection among the villagers, parents guiding their children to sit quietly, an elderly couple holding hands as they sang along softly, and friends exchanging warm smiles across the pews. These moments reminded him of the deep bond shared by the community, a bond that seemed to shine brighter on Christmas Eve. The flickering candles added to the magic of the evening, their soft light dancing on the stained glass windows. Each flicker felt like a whisper of hope and love, spreading through the hearts of everyone present. Samuel glanced at the altar, where the nativity scene stood, bathed in the glow of countless candles. It was a timeless reminder of the miracle they gathered to celebrate. When the service concluded, Samuel stepped forward to wish everyone a Merry Christmas as they departed. He shook hands, offered hugs, and shared heartfelt words with each person. To the children, he bent down with a twinkle in his eye, wishing them dreams filled with wonder. To the older members of the congregation, his words carried warmth and respect, acknowledging the years they had spent building this community. For Samuel, this wasn't merely a duty. It was a privilege to share in the joy of the season with those he cherished. When the service ended and the congregation slowly dispersed, Samuel remained behind to tidy up. The church was quiet now, the candles flickering softly in their holders. He moved through the space with reverence, his footsteps echoing faintly against the stone floor. Finally, Samuel sat in the front pew, his gaze fixed on the nativity scene. The chapel, though empty, still felt alive with the echoes of laughter, song, and prayer. Outside, the snow continued to fall, blanketing the village in a soft, peaceful silence. He thought of the villagers who had filled the pews earlier, each bringing their unique energy and stories. From young Clara's wide-eyed wonder to Mrs. Thompson's warm smile, Samuel cherished the bonds that had grown over years of shared faith and tradition. Samuel's mind wandered to the many conversations he'd had with villagers who came seeking comfort or guidance. They often lingered in the garden or sat beside him in the pews, sharing their joys and struggles. He took the time to listen, offering words of wisdom and encouragement, never expecting anything in return. He realized the role he played went beyond keeping the church. He was a keeper of their trust, a quiet pillar of strength in their lives. His love for the community, for each person who crossed the threshold, was as boundless as the snow-covered hills surrounding the village. "Merry Christmas," he whispered, his voice barely audible. For Samuel, Christmas wasn't just a day on the calendar. It was a living, breathing presence, a light that shone brightest in the hearts of those who came together in love and faith. Thank you for joining us on Story Planet. If this story brought you peace and warmth, consider giving it a thumbs up. Feel free to share it with friends and family to spread the joy of Christmas. And don't forget to subscribe for more relaxing and heartwarming tales delivered to you every day. Wishing you a peaceful night and sweet dreams.